All right, so a little bit of an update. The jury selection process is very close to the number that they want. So there is a slight chance I won't have to go in tomorrow, which would be really nice. On that note, though, I've already rescheduled the team sessions. So let's just stick with this new, let's meet on Thursday rather than on Wednesday, just in case. I'm going ahead and recording this video so that I'll have something up for tomorrow for you to consider and do before, so that, just like I said, just in case I've got to go in, it'll be nice to have all this stuff just kind of squared away and handled rather than changing stuff at the last minute. So in any case, I'm going to do a joint video again. I'm going to try to go back to separate videos addressing each individual class after all this insanity has, cleared. Luckily, everybody in my family is healthy. Hold on. Knock on wood. Ow. But let's talk just for a minute about the next step here. You guys have your information reports due on Thursday. Now, the information reports, like I've said a million times, don't have to be the most detailed things. This is, if anything, it's a focused free write for moving into the final paper, both the community research and the current event stuff. Now, what I want to talk to you guys today is the argumentation that's going to be required moving forward. I actually talked with one of my face-to-face 1101 classes about this today as well. Now, argumentation. Let's stop and talk about argumentation for a bit, and let's just kind of tease this out. I'm not going to give you guys the crazy detailed lecture I always give with argumentation because I kind of don't want to bore you. That stuff is a lot more interesting when you're having a conversation about it as opposed to just sort of barking it at a camera. But in any case, argumentation and argument, when I ask students to define that, they often think of disagreements or debates, yada, yada, yada. It's not disagreements. It's not debates. That's something different. Arguments in the rhetorical sense really is akin to an opinion, a stance on an issue, or a claim. So if we're talking about a very general political discussion, an argument would be something like, we need more specific gun control, right? Or we need less gun control. I need more guns in my life. Those are both claims. Those are both arguments. You'll notice with both of these that you can very clearly disagree with them, right? One of the things I want you to start focusing on for both community research and for the current event topic is we got to start thinking a bit about an argument. One of the ways that we traditionally talk about this when we're teaching college students in composition in 1101 is the thesis statement. Now, the thesis statement is a little dry and it's a little outdated. Very, very classical forms of writing in this sphere will have you state your argumentative claim, and then you kind of keep reiterating it through the paper over and over again. It's kind of like a structural glue that holds everything together. You basically just base everything around that opinion. Well, you don't necessarily have to be as stringent with that today, right? We can relax a little bit and we can explore things and let our opinion, let our claim be a little bit more organic. I think it's a good idea before you start writing the actual draft of the paper to have an idea what it is you want to say, what claim you want to make, what argument you would like to make. It is good for a structural glue, but it doesn't have to be as formulaic as people used to require it to be. We can be a little bit more natural as we're delivering this. Now, this argument, this claim is probably going to come about in different ways depending on which project you're working on. So if you're working on the community writing piece, more than likely what you're going to want to explore is the needs of your community. And thinking about what your community needs. B, I'm actually kind of doing this out of order. A, what your community needs, and B, what people can do about it, right? So we identify what's wrong or what we're struggling with. In a way, that's kind of an argument because some people can say the taxes are too high. That's the biggest problem. Other people can say the homelessness is a problem. I recently saw a really interesting report that talked about antagonizing the homeless as opposed to trying to solve their issue. It was really interesting. It was John Oliver. Really big fan of John Oliver. He's quite liberal, but a lot of the stuff that he covers is really interesting. In any case, I'm sorry, but we could disagree about what the most important problem or the most important issue is within our community is. And once we think that we've identified that for ourselves, then we start suggesting solutions and ways that people can contribute to that solution, right? In this way, it comes with a nice prepackaged argument. I used to be a really big advocate of just having students just sort of go out in the weeds and formulate arguments on things that were important to them. But as time has gone on, I've kind of realized it's really difficult for students to self-start on stuff like this, right? To go out and find a topic that just completely is of your own accord. That's asking a lot. And so I've been thinking a lot lately about finding ways to get students about talk about specific things where you have a lot of directions you can go in, but you've got that initial path that you can follow. And I think this community research project kind of helps. Everybody who lives within this area knows that this area has challenges, has struggles. And there's a bunch to choose from. It doesn't even necessarily have to be what you would say as the most important issue or the biggest issue. It could rather, you could focus on it in terms of what is the biggest issue that you see or is the most pertinent to your experience, right? In a way that kind of becomes a little bit argumentative because you're selecting something out and you're deciding to focus on that. So, there's absolutely no wrong answer to this question. If you live in a place with raccoons constantly attacking your trash cans, it's not insane to say that's the biggest problem right there. I have a bunch of deer and raccoons out where I live, and luckily I've basically just sort of ceded them territory. I don't mess with them. They don't mess with me. But in any case, God, I think this is the reason I get off on so many tangents personally. But that's kind of the direction we can do as we can take as we start deciding on the thesis or the argument for the writing that we're going to create. Now, let's go to the other one. And I find that with this final project, we can kind of sort of play off of each other. With the current event topic, this one has a little bit more free and a little bit more open. I found that for the current event topic, the most obvious and most easy argument to chase is prediction. Finding something to predict that's pertinent to your topic, right? We're looking for issues that are interesting to us. We're looking for research that matters, whether it's technological, whether it's political, something that's going on right now. A very ready packaged argument for you to make is to just predict what will happen within that sphere. Now, I'm trying to think of what some of the things that my students have been covering. And I think my personal favorite is what's going on with the Supreme Court right now. I've been really interested in this Texas case with the kind of strange deputized citizens enforcing this abortion restriction. And the fun thing about making a prediction with something that you're following, whether it's sports, whether it's technology, whether it's fashion, is it's 100% okay to be wrong. And in actuality, one of the signs of a good argument is the fact that somebody can disagree with you, right? So any argument needs to have some possible wrongness to it in order for it to be an argument. Somebody has to be able to take an opposite stance to you and disagree with what you're saying. So if you make a prediction in the course of this class, it turns out you are absolutely bloody wrong. There's nothing wrong with that because even a wrong prediction, you could go back and say, this is why I thought the way I did, right? And that's one of the things that we are looking for is just like building an argument, building a prediction, and just kind of having sort of like a rationale behind it. You don't have to be right. My prediction right now, I like to try to follow a few things along with my class when I start doing this type of project. And the big one that I'm following is the Supreme Court. This case with the Texas abortion bill that limits abortion procedures to 6 weeks. I personally think it's going to get thrown out. I do not think the court is going to overturn Roe v. Wade. And the reason is, it's not that there's a lot of times when people follow issues like this, They think of it in terms of rightness or wrongness within the issue. That's not necessarily what determines what gets overturned and what gets held. It's more, a basis of pure interpretation of law and legalese. The argument right now is the deputization of citizens to bring lawsuits against people who have provided or sought abortions before that 6-week period. They are saying that the state is not enforcing this ban, and that kind of gets around the constitutionality that abortion is supposed to be readily available for all people, is by saying, well, the state's not enforcing it, private citizens are. But there's been precedent in case law that says anything that requires the involvement of the court is not a kind of private agreement. It's still the state enforcing something. So I don't think this rationale is going to hold up in court. And again, kind of one of the fun things about the Supreme Court in this instance is you don't have to argue the rightness or the wrongness of the procedure. It's the legality of it. I don't think the Supreme Court's going to overturn Roe v. Wade because they're not doing a kind of procedural justification for this. This is a sidestep. And I don't think the court's going to look too kindly upon that, whether they're conservative or liberal. I think we can completely sidestep the politics on this to just say that the state of Texas has actually tried a legal maneuver that is itself not legal. So that's my prediction. I could end up being completely bloody wrong. That's the nature of the argument. I have given you an argument, a prediction, right? So my prediction is that's going to get thrown out. We'll see. Now, some other predictions you could make. The supremacy of whichever console in the console wars, coming trends in fashion, not just the Braves' victory in the World Series, but maybe how they'll do in the next season. For me, I like to try to project out a little bit further than the class, because the World Series could very much wrap up before the class is over, right? In fact, I think it probably will. So in any case, you see how I'm kind of mapping out these predictions. These predictions, when you make them, are going to need to be couched in some type of rationale, some type of justification. It's not enough to simply say, I predict this. You have to say why. So trying to think of some more examples for the current event one. What would be a good one? This massive shipping clog, where we've got so many ships that can't dock. And I think that there's a great deal of complexity with this, because what exactly is happening with this shipping backlog? A lot of it, I think, has to do with a lack of labor with COVID-19, with wages, people not wanting to go to work with the wage that's being provided to them. So I'm going to really model an interesting one for you. I'm sure you guys, I've admitted time and time again, I'm a bit of a crunchy, stinky, liberal lefty, right? But I'm not too liberal to say that this shipping backlog and the potential effect it could have upon the economy could give the Democrats a bloody nose in the next election. It's very possible. And again, someone who's writing this, I want to give you guys full permission to go full politics. Let's say you wanted to explore this and you wanted to rail against the Biden administration and talk about how awful they are and that Biden's stupid, yeah. Go for it. It's not going to upset me, right? I mean, I'm grading your paper. I'm a big fan of seeing passion in your writing anyway. So, when you guys, I've probably said this before, but if I've ever said anything in these YouTube videos that makes you angry or you disagree with politically, come at me, Haas. I give bonus points for students who come after the things that I say and say I'm wrong. So, putting together a paper about this current shipping crisis, its effect on the economy going into the shopping season, and saying the Democrats are going to get their butts handed to them in the next election, yikes, that's an A waiting to happen. Even if I'm on this, and one of my high school students said this to me the other day. She was like, Mr. Bailey, if we say something you disagree with, are you going to count off for that? Absolutely, positively not. I can disagree with you all day long and give you A's. It's not about what you're arguing. It's how you argue it. Are you making a good case for why you believe what you believe? You could be straight up bloody wrong within the confines of the class. I could very still give you an A because you had a rationale behind the things that you predicted or the things that you argued. So I could go into more intricacy on the types of arguments that we would use. I might do that, as we go into next week, because we're going to kind of play with argumentation as we keep doing these information reports, because that's probably going to be the thing that really informs on the soul and the organization of these papers, both the community research project and the current event one. So what I want you guys to see is, I was going to give you a bit of an assignment with this, but again, I think I'm just going to leave you with the information report itself. And again, an assurance that this does not have to be perfect writing. If anything, I'm expecting these information reports to be a bit messy, because you're trying on a new concept for size, right? So again, relax, have fun with this, and just try to bring me some information and play around with it, right? It's not something for you to stress about. We'll talk more about argumentation next time. As you start putting those information reports down next week, I want you to start formulating opinions about this stuff. Now that you started consuming information, we can start thinking about ways to arrive upon opinions and arguments on both sides, whether we're formulating these opinions about our community or the current event that we're following. Again, I know these videos have been a little bit wandering lately. I'm going to try to keep that in mind when I finally grade these final papers. I am sorry again that things have been so crazy. I hate this for my face-to-face 1101 class, because I haven't seen them in so long. And hopefully this will kind of help them. I'm leaving this for them as well. I'll see you guys real soon, no matter what. And if not, then I'll just start putting together even more detailed, longer, rambling YouTube videos for you to sit and watch as you eat popcorn. In any case, have a great day, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Looking forward to those information reports. Go away.